So here's our box of baby chicks from Cackle Hatchery. We're going to take them out, we're going to do a little bit of an unboxing, and then we're going to later, probably in a separate video, I'm not sure yet, give them to our broody hen. So these are Cackle's Hatchery surplus. It's just whatever they have extra of. It's basically like adoption. They're straight run, they're super cheap. It's whatever they didn't sell that week. So we got 15, or we ordered 15. And sometimes they add a couple extra, so I haven't counted. It looks like just on first glance everybody's alive and doing well, so that's good. They shipped them out Wednesday. They got here Friday. Looks like some really cool, I'm not sure, I don't know all what the breeds are, but they look really cool. You know, they look, some of these look pretty interesting. Like things I might not have seen before. So we're going to get them, go ahead and get them nice and warmed up in the brooder. So they're huddled up all by the heat lamp, and they're getting warmed up. I don't know what those little kind of dusty gray ones are. They white rocks or what? I don't know. That'll be really interesting to see, because they kind of look like, you know, a white rock chicken, but I have no idea. Look at, there's a lot of them too. There's a lot of those. So anyway, basically, yeah, this is basically, you know, their adoption. They, like I said, don't call it adoption at Cackle. They call it surplus. True adoption usually means late hatch. You know, anything that hatched out late, or that's what most, you know, call it. But really, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, no pun intended. You know, late hatch versus not sold, either way, they are unsold birds. Either way, they are birds that no one bought, that, you know, need homes. And I don't want to think about what happens if they can't find anybody, you know, to take these. Typically, a hatchery will do everything in their power if they're a good, reputable hatchery, and Cackle is a very good hatchery. They care about their animals a lot, so I'd imagine that they do everything in their power to make sure that, you know, these chicks all get homes as much as possible. You know, they do their very best to even make sure that proactively they don't hatch more than they think they can sell in the first place. But nature will be nature, and also, you know, the supply and demand often fluctuates. So, you know, sometimes they have way more hatch than they expect to hatch, and other times they don't have hardly enough to hatch at all, and it just depends, right? So it's not really anything that they can have an exact science on. So anyway, we've got these, you know, thinking that, okay, well, yeah, the minimum was 15. No, we don't need any more chicks right now. We've got a full flock already of 45 chickens and 2 roosters, 45 hens, 2 roosters. We do not need any more. But, you know, our hen went broody, and it's a hen that you can't break the cycle. Some hens you can break the broody cycle with, but this is not one of those hens. This is a silky. She would just, you know, either go broody the next day or just never break the cycle at all. So we need something, or the hen's going to die. She's going to end up dying, and we don't want her to die. So she'd sit on the nest. It's heartbreaking. She would sit on the nest waiting for those infertile eggs to hatch forever, until she just, you know, dehydrates and starves to death. Just hoping that those infertile eggs are going to hatch. We have 2 roosters, yes, but one is geriatric. He's not fertile. The other one is not even old enough to be able to fertilize the hens. He's not even full grown. He's not even crowing yet. So, you know, all of our eggs are infertile, and they would never hatch, but she doesn't know that, and she is not, you know, especially because it's her breed, just naturally the breed that she has, it's in her instincts to not give up. It's in her instincts to be a mother. Silkies are one of the more motherly breeds, of probably one of the most motherly breeds actually of any chick, or sorry, of any chicken breed. And so if you give them chicks, they're usually, you know, very good mothers, even first-time mothers. You don't really have to worry about them because they take such good care of the chicks. But again, you know, we do want our chicks to be good and strong, or they're going to fight over warmth. They might smother each other before we give them to her. We want to make sure they're nice and hydrated, lots of food and water. And you see some of them are actually starting to disperse a little bit because they're warming up. They're warming up and they're starting to get food and water. And in the wild, you know, natural instincts tell the mother hen to sit and wait for a few days to make sure that all the eggs hatch. So what she's going to do when I first give her these chicks, she's going to sit there and she's going to wait, even though, you know, those are all the chicks she's going to get. She's not going to know that. Even though you take up all the eggs, she thinks that magically a chick might just pop out of thin air. Literally, like, she doesn't know any better. No one's ever told her that that's, you know, all she's going to get. So basically she'll sit there and wait for 2 or 3 days before she realizes, okay, that's all, and there's no more chicks, because she doesn't want to leave the nest if there's still you know, something hatching. If she left the nest while something was still hatching, it would dry stick to the shell and it would die. So actually that's a really good instinct, but the problem is that she won't feed them for 2 or 3 days. You know, she'll just sit there. So what you have to do is you have to actually put food and water in the nest box for the baby chicks until she gets out of the nest box. You know, if they're hatching out on their own in the farm and you give her eggs and they're hatching out under her, that's a different story, because they have 3 days worth of you know, nutrition. Everything that they need is absorbed by the yolk. So they've got, you know, food and water from the yolk, and they've got that enough for 3 days, and that's how people can ship them in the mail, because they've got, you know, that stored up for 3 days before they need something. But these chicks are already 3 days old. If they're already 3 days old, then they need food and water right away. And so, you know, basically when they do get good and strong and recuperated, you know, in the next few days, when we do give them to her, we want to make sure that, you know, they do have that food and water there, right there in the nest box, so they can get to it even when she's still kind of just sitting there and kind of sleepy. So basically, you know, obviously we're not going to be able to give all of these to her at once. She's a little tiny hen. You know, big hens can take about 12 regular sized chicks. None of these are bantams, so we're guessing we'll probably give her somewhere between about 6 to 8 maybe chicks. We don't want to give her too many. We don't want them to fight over mom's body warmth. So we'll have to pick which ones go to her, and usually the way that I pick which ones go to her is which ones are the strongest. You don't want to give them any wobbly, weak chicks. So, you know, if they're all strong, then what I do is I go, okay, which ones do I have the most of? Because if you have a lot of one kind and a lot of them get taken by predators, then at least, you know, you still have a few left, you know, of that kind, versus giving your only, one of your only kind of chicks there, you know, to the mother. So, you know, that's just how I do it, but really, a mother hen is going to accept them no matter what. If they're a good mother, they're just going to accept them no matter what. The last thing that you have to do is you got to check for leg bands, and you got to, sometimes they put leg bands on those chicks, and they will, their legs will grow, and then it'll grow into the leg, and it'll suffocate, you know, the blood flow. So you got to check for that, and you got to check for if any of their eyes don't open. Sometimes they have a little bit of a sticky eye from being hatched out of the shell. So you want to make sure that their eyes are all open. We've got some just natural BioTrue that I use, which is just a very natural eye drop. It doesn't have anything, you know, any kind of real bad chemicals in it. And it basically just replicates natural tears, and so that'll kind of soften up their eyes and get them open if their eyes aren't already open. So I'd say most of the time I'll have at least one or two like that, where they've got the eye stuck from hatching out. They got some kind of little bit of something stuck there. So you really do have to watch for those two things. And then the last thing, of course, everybody knows, that pasty bottom thing. You have to watch for that. If they get that, you got to get that off right away. And then you have to make sure they're nice and hydrated. You got to make sure there's the right temperature and everything, or they can die with that. So we're going to let these guys chill, and then we're going to give them to the broody hen in a separate video.